last regular season game on the 95-96 schedule. Rick Tabaracci, a winner over Vancouver 4-3 on Wednesday night, getting the start in goal. Tabaracci, during his NHL career, played 61 games for the Winnipeg Jets. At the other end of the ice, it's Tabby at one end, Habby at the other. Nikolai Habibulin, who in the last 3 Winnipeg victories has been named star number 1. And the Jets are looking for Habibulin to continue the hot play over the final 5 games. Paul Stewart is the referee tonight. Mark Weller and Jay Shires are the linesmen. The Winnipeg Jets with Craig Janney centering Tkachuk and Drake, facing off against Sullivan. He's between Titov and Fleury. Dumped into the Calgary zone. Chason goes back after it, being watched by Tkachuk. Lays it over to Zalapski for Sullivan. Sullivan can't get out as he was checked by Janney. Now Fleury picks up the loose puck. Here comes Fleury with a long shot. That's steered to the corner. The Jets looking to sweep the seasonal series. They won the first 3 by scores of 5-2, 3-2, and 4-1. They haven't played in Winnipeg since the 3rd of December. The most recent meeting, a 4-1 Winnipeg victory on Sunday at the Canadian Airlines Saddledome in Calgary. Well, Terry Simpson felt the 7-1 loss to the San Jose Sharks on March 20th was perhaps one of the most embarrassing times he has ever had behind the bench of any hockey team. But since then, the Winnipeg Jets have taken off. They won 5 of 7. Pierre Pagé told the public relations staff in Calgary to strike the first 2 months out of the record books. He said, I wanted no part of that. We won only 3 games. But then our season turned around on November 26th.
And talking to both coaches this morning, you really got the feeling that this was a playoff-type atmosphere. The pressure is sky high. Both of them, I would say, were pretty quiet the morning skate around.
Brian, did you take the elevator or run the 13th flight?
I got to admit, I took the elevator.
Dave Manson moves it ahead to Darren Shannon. He scored the Jets' first goal, but he has really struggled. The first goal in the season opener against Dallas. He has only 3 for the season, but he's been effective working along the board. McIver from the point throws it back to the net, going into the corner. Shannon and Janney bump. Now the puck has moved ahead, and Lemieux works his way out to center. He has Marty Murray with him. Murray called up, playing his second game for the Flames, coming up from St. John. He's a native of Deloraine, Manitoba. Shannon dumps it in. Janney goes back after it. Shannon is in forechecking. He takes Janney in against the boards. Tverdovsky pinches in from the point, forcing Lemieux to dump it down the end.
Pretty good start to this game for both clubs. Some good hits early, and that's what you want to do to get some of the nervousness out of your system.
Tverdovsky is a young man you saw plenty of in Anaheim. He was part of the Solani trade along with Chad Kilger. And he seems to have regained his confidence since joining the Winnipeg Jets.
Well, he's a terrifically skilled player, tremendous skater. He knows what to do when he gets the puck. If he has any weakness, of course, is that he does not pick his spots properly all the time to jump up and join in the offense.
Tverdovsky pinching in from the point. He manages to keep it in the zone. Albeline plays it around to Huscroft. He whips it around the boards and down the ice. I mentioned that the Winnipeg Jets have won all 3 previous games between these 2 teams, and the third period has been particularly effective for the Jets, where they have outscored the Flames by a 6-0 margin.
Calgary always seems to get off to a pretty good start against Winnipeg. They just haven't been able to maintain leads. In fact, they've led after the first period in 2 of the 3 games. Certainly they're looking for the same kind of start tonight.
Nylander gets in across the line, but Kennedy just a little over-anxious, and he is offside. Well, Eddie Olczyk went out of the Winnipeg Jet lineup on March the 7th. He had a knee injury. He has been on injured reserve. It really wasn't expected that Eddie O would be back in the lineup until next week, but he's back 1 game earlier than anticipated. He is playing with rookie Chad Kilger and the heavyweight Jim McKenzie.
Olczyk inserted into the lineup tonight. You know what, just prior to his injury, he really was on a roll. There's the defensive lineup for the Winnipeg Jets, but Olczyk had 12 points in the previous 6 games just prior to that knee injury. It's going to be tough for him to regain that kind of form immediately.
Zalapski trying to fight off the check of Chad Kilger. His father, Bob, is here watching the game tonight. Bob, a former National Hockey League referee and now a member of Parliament. Puck loose at center ice. McKenzie flips it down into the Calgary zone, races in after it. This could be a delayed icing call, and it is, as the Calgary player Zalapski gets there to touch it ahead of Chad Kilger.
Let's take a look at the Flames starting lineup tonight. You know, we mentioned the fact Gary Roberts not in the Calgary uniform. Mike Sullivan steps onto the big line along with Titov and Fleury. It would be tough to replace the kind of offense that Gary Roberts brings to the table, but this is a pretty well-balanced hockey club. They've been able to deal with an awful lot of its own. Very effective team at working the puck out of their own end because their defense is an extremely mobile group.
But they aren't getting as much production from their blue line as they were prior to the Phil Housley trade. Back to the point, chase on shot, bounces off a body to the corner. Titov and Umanen bump there. Up along the boards for Dallas Drake. He frees it for Janney. Janney has Tkachuk breaking with him down the right side. Pass just a little too far for Tkachuk. He goes back to the net. Janney goes in there as well. Zalapski bodies him off the puck. Zalapski trying to get away from Tkachuk. It's played out across the line and batted back in by Jeff Finley.
One of the sure things for the Winnipeg Jets is when they do have Tkachuk out there on the ice, they can't hit him with a direct pass, so try and dump it into the corner that he's rushing into. He's the bull. He's the guy that they
stepped into Theron Fleury as the two players were going off on a line change, and that drew a reaction from the fans and also from Fleury. He didn't like the hit from Dallas Drake. Along the boards, Korolev, who has been on a bit of a roll, gets it back to the net. McKenzie or Eastwood, I should say, trying to get it out front. He was checked. He goes down. Eastwood throws it back to the net now. Trent Janney picks it up. Murray couldn't control it. Shannon takes it back to the net. Shannon trying to free him to Korolev. He wheels and fires a shot that is blocked before it gets to the net. Korolev along the boards again. Continuing to battle. The puck comes free and the Flames start away. Here comes Murray throwing it into the slot area. Lemieux on his backhand couldn't get a shot away. Now he wheels and fires it wide. Korolev picks it up along the right wing boards. He starts away. Tverdovsky initially indicated he was going to jump up into the play. Then he went off to the bench in the change. Korolev in the corner, gets it back to the net for Eastwood. Eastwood tried to get it to the point to McIver, who was pinching in, but it was intercepted by Stern. Stern is pressured, forced back into his own zone, then he dumps it the length of the ice, and this will be an icing call against the Flames. No score with 15:01 left in the first period.
Oh, what a shame. Okay, here we go. Why, thanks, dear. That goes great with watching an opponent take his best shot. Oh, I'm sorry. Must have been someone I ate. Okay. Come to Papa Drink. What? What? I was second. Molson Ultra, 6.2% dry. Wickedly smooth beer.
The job was to build a tough truck. So we put the new F-150 through hard labor and came up with features that work. The only super cab with a standard third door. The only 60/40 split rear bench. More footroom, more headroom, and the only standard dual airbags in its class. We figure if it can handle the punishment from 9 to 5, it should work just fine on weekends. The all-new 1997 Ford F-150. Strength after strength after strength.
Theo Fleury's on a bit of a nice streak right now. 6-game scoring streak. 4 goals, 4 assists. Got into a little bit of an altercation with Dallas Drake over by the Winnipeg bench. Look who's standing right beside him. Paul Stewart. Stewart's watching all of this. Watch Theo doing what he does best right here. Just gives him a little jab with the stick. Stewart just kind of looks the other way.
From the faceoff, Huscroft whips it around the boards and out. Back after it is Norm McIver. McIver has been a most valuable addition for the Jets back on the point, particularly on the power play. Huscroft flips it in deep. Dave Manson is back there having some problems against Dean Evison. Plays it up along the boards, not out. Tommy Albaline fires it high off the glass and it deflects out of play.
You mentioned the point that the Flames defense has not been contributing as much offensively. There's a reason why. They seem to be in a little bit of a hurry to get rid of that puck. Of course, when they know that Sandy McCarthy is on the ice, they're expecting him to get stationed in front of Nikolai Khabibulin tonight. And I guess the tempo of the game changes somewhat, and the strategy changes for Pierre Paget's defensive corps.
Page has to be happy with the production of Sandy McCarthy this year. He has scored 9 goals. That's a career high.
He's also pretty darn good at the other element of his game. He's got to be considered one of the top heavyweights in the league.
In the game in Calgary on the 10th of February, McCarthy and McKenzie went at it a couple of times. 2 pretty good scraps between 2 of the heavyweights in the NHL. And here he comes now. McCarthy down the right side. He lets a long shot go that is blocked by Muni. Gets the rebound and then had some problems handling it. Chases it into the corner. Still has some problems picking it up. Paul Kruse having problems there with Muni. The two tie each other up, and Tverdovsky takes it back of his own net. Tverdovsky, under pressure, simply dumps it down the ice.
You know, it really amazes me the difference in the work in the defensive zone of the Winnipeg Jets. This is a club that has only given up 1 goal in 3 of their last 4 contests. So they're cleaning up things on their own end, and the offense is taking care of itself.
But the defensemen are also saying that one of the big differences, the forwards are coming back to help out. Here's Theo Fleury, a wraparound attempt. The puck wound up in skates directly in front of the goal. Titov looking for Fleury, a quick shot and a save by Harvey Bullen. 13:26 remaining in the opening period. It's still scoreless. With an update, here's Scott.
Down in Toronto, the Blues get on the board first on a power play against the Leafs. Shot from the point, stopped by Felix Potvin, but look at Peter Zezel there to convert the rebound at 4:46 of the first. Zezel's 8th of the season, 1-0 St. Louis.
And here the Flames have outshot the Jets by a 3-0 margin, but Nikolai Habibulin with a huge save on Theo Fleury keeps the Flames off the score sheet.
Well, Fleury starts all of this with the rush and the wraparound attempt. Mike Sullivan stationed just to the left of Habibulin. Can't get his stick on it. It was a terrific job in front of the net by Tverdovsky tying him up, but then Fleury stays right with it. Takes the feed from behind. Nice pass from Titov.
Teppo Numminen flips it out of the zone. Racing after it is Dallas Drake, but it'll slide all the way down the ice to Tabarachi, and he whips it out of the zone. Tkachuk couldn't handle the pass. Zalapski falls. Tkachuk trying to take it away from him. Bumped along the boards. And it's knocked out to center. Chason racing after it. He takes Finlay into the board. Finlay dumps it down the ice into Calgary territory. The Winnipeg Jets get the puck in front of the net, but Tkachuk couldn't get to it. And the Flames start back, led by Fleury. Fleury puts on the brakes, looks for some help. Rink wide. Titov shot blocked before it gets to the net. Titov to the point. James Patrick tees it up and fires wide. Chason pinches in from the other point. A weak shot knocked down in front, and the Jets come back. It's Craig Janney in across the line with Tkachuk. He feeds it now over onto the wing to Korolev. Korolev shoots and fires wide. McIver is bumped by Fleury as he tried to pinch in from the point. Fleury fires it rink wide, too far for Stillman. Dave Manson sends McIver on his way down the left side. Dumped in for Eastwood. Eastwood taken in against the boards by Chason. Stillman moves it up along the boards for Calgary. Nylander frees it on the left side for Sheldon Kennedy. Drop pass for Nylander. Nylander back to Stillman. Back to Nylander. He gets set. Couldn't get his shot away. Took a little too much time. Shannon was on him. It looked as though Nylander was going to be in perfect position to get a shot away. Here's Stillman firing, and that one is deflected to the corner by Habibulin. Loose puck in the Winnipeg zone, scooped up by Eastwood.
Well, thank goodness one of the Calgary Flame players seemed finally willing to take the shot. They've been passing up opportunities all game long so far.
Nylander again forced back into his own zone by Korolev. Now it's Janney. Hasn't scored a goal in 2 years, telling the coaching staff this morning after letting a couple of good shots go that he felt this might be his night.
People aren't taking any bets, however.
Dave Manson being watched back of his own net. The Jets have yet to register a shot on goal. They're getting close to the midpoint of the opening period. First period against Calgary this year for Winnipeg has not been good. They have been dominant, as I mentioned earlier, in the third period. Long shot is held by Habibulin with 10:58 remaining in a still scoreless opening period. Calgary and Winnipeg at the Winnipeg Arena.
We wanted the car to have great stance, suggesting power.
We have an all-new 3-liter double overhead cam 4-valve V6 engine called Duratec.
The customer is going to have to spend less on his car to maintain it.
The car is extremely fun to drive, and that's a combination of precise steering, ride control of the car. The driving experience is going to be nothing short of astonishing.
Redesigned, re-engineered, reinvented. 1996 Ford Taurus.
Achieve 80DG lets you use as little as 5 gallons of water per acre to knock out wild oats and other grasses in all wheat, durum, and barley. At this rate, you may want to give your water truck driver the rest of the day off. Achieve 80DG, grass weed control that takes you farther.
The Cup champions have been struggling this year, but New Jersey came up with a huge win this afternoon, 6-3 over Hartford to move into a tie for the final playoff position in the East with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Colorado assured of a second-place finish in the West, defeating San Jose this afternoon 5-1.
I think I got to be a little bit concerned for those top teams in the Western and Eastern conferences when they do qualify for the postseason, because they're going to be meeting some teams that are playoff tested. These last 3 or 4 weeks has just been a dogfight for about 10 clubs.
Back to the point to Zalapski. Zalapski lets the shot go. It's blocked before it gets to the net. Fraser starts away. Rink wide for Olczyk. He couldn't pick it up. Now Chris King, the captain, fires it back into Calgary territory. Olczyk took a hit as he tried to maneuver his way into the Calgary zone. Now he's going to the bench on the change. As I mentioned earlier, Olczyk back in the lineup for the first time since being injured on the 7th of March. Flipped down the ice. Fraser is racing after it, but coming out of the net to play it, and losing it, they score! Tabaracci tries to play it, put it right on the Fraser stick. 1-0 Winnipeg on the first shot on goal.
Credit for this goal, but what a terrible sample of puck handling by Rick Tabaracci. You know, he's already had trouble once in the first period. He makes the cardinal sin of going to the backhand. Always a difficult play for the goalkeeper, and Fraser, who's just kind of casually skating to the left of Tabaracci, calmly just swipes it into the net with one hand. Important game for the Calgary Flames, and they cannot afford to have these types of miscues early on.
His first goal as a Winnipeg Jet, Ian Fraser on a backhander at 9:33. And apparently this goal is being reviewed by the video goal judge as Paul Stewart calls upstairs. It looked as though Tabaracci was going to play it to the boards, and he threw it right into the skates of Chason and Ian Fraser. It looked as though Chason had Fraser all tied up, but somehow it appeared as though he got his stick on it to backhand it into an open net.
It's tough to figure out really what is under review at this point, unless there was an offside at the Calgary blue line, because there wasn't much question. It didn't seem that Fraser directed that puck into the net with one hand on his stick. Tabaracci, we talk about the fact the goaltender has that big catching glove on his hand. He loses his grip right down there at the shaft, the stick. That's exactly what happened to Tabaracci. But the safe play is always to go to the forehand side. A little bit tough for the goalies to manipulate that stick sometimes.
He did get a stick on it, but it is being reviewed. And Paul Stewart continues to listen for the information from the video goal judge's booth upstairs. Ian Fraser waiting anxiously to find out whether he will be awarded the goal, and Tabaracci is just as anxiously hoping it will not be a goal. While we're waiting, let's go down to Scott for an update from Toronto.
All right, Don, in Toronto, the Leafs are back on even terms with the Blues. Mike Gardner with his 34th of the season. He tucked it into the open side of John Casey's net. Casey must have thought the play was going around the net. 1-1 in Toronto now.
Boy, a couple of strange goals we're witnessing today on Hockey Night in Canada.
Yeah.
It's taken an awful long time for Paul Stewart to get...
Well, Fraser not he has scored his first goal as a Winnipeg Jet. Jim Christensen is the supervisor upstairs, who is obviously in communication with Paul Stewart.
I can't really think what the problem would be unless there was some kind of a consideration of a delayed offside, but if that's the case, that is not a reviewable time. I mean, it has to be a disputed goal. It can't be an offside to take a goal away from the Winnipeg Jets. And that's why
Winnipeg Jets had a goal taken away from them in Colorado on their most recent road trip, and after it was ruled should have been allowed to stand. As it turned out, the Winnipeg Jets won the hockey game anyway, but this is taking a long time for any decision to be handed down as Paul Stewart.
Take another look at it. Watch the stick as it goes off his skate, and he manages to just flip it over the goal stick of Tabaracci and into the net. No question that he got the stick on that puck. He did not deflect in directly off of the foot.
Well, that angle would seem to indicate it is very close as to whether or not it did go off the stick. But it is a goal,